Hey guys, I'll show you some basics of how to use Modio. We'll build a simple deathmatch game using our blank template. So this game's gonna have a bunch of simple mechanics like fighting, respawn, etc. As you can see, it's already got the movement built in, so you don't have to worry about programming that. There's a bunch of stuff that's already in place. So if you take a look, so if you choose the entities tab, and then go to your unit. There's one unit in this entire game, which is homie. You can see that there's a control built in, and it has the movement scheme set as WASD. Yeah, we'll just skip this for now. And another thing I'm gonna show you is it's got the entity scripting in place so that this unit has a bunch of different abilities. So these are all scripts for this specific entity, and you can see that start using item, what it does is it uses the item held by this entity, and this is for the homie only. And this stops using item, this picks up the item and drop item. And how these are invoked is set by the controls tab. So if you take a look, mouse left click does start using item, stop using item. E does pick up item, G does drop item. Okay? So yeah, you can add more key bindings later. But yeah, let's go ahead and make this game a deathmatch. Oops, let me make it smaller. Okay, perfect. So yeah, this game, if you look at the world script, there's 3 scripts in the game. So initialize, basically what this does is it assigns this AI player to NPC's player type. You don't have to worry about this now. Basically what this does is, so this game already has 2 different player types, human players and NPCs. And you can add as many player types as you want. But yeah, this is just to handle how these like different factions treat each other, whether if you wanna show names or so on and so forth. We'll go more about the player types in a bit. But for now, let's close this. And when player joins the game, there are 3 script actions associated with it. You can see that the script gets triggered by when player joins game. And then what we do is we create a homie, the unit here, for the last triggering player, meaning that this is so last triggering player is the player that just joined the game. And we are gonna place this unit in a random position in the entire map region. So, and also, just so you know, like you can click on all this and change the parameters however you want. There's a bunch of options available. We're gonna be writing some actions together in a bit. So yeah, so first we create the homie unit and then we make the last triggering player, which is the player that just joined the game. That player's camera will now track the last created unit, and then we'll also assign the last triggering player to the human player's player type. Okay? And when player leaves, we are gonna traverse through all units owned by the leaving player and destroy that unit. So what happens is that, as you can see, when you join the game, this unit gets created and the camera is now tracking this unit. So yeah, all this stuff is being handled by this world script. Next step, we are gonna create an item. So we're gonna right click here, click on new and go item. And there's a bunch of templates available. We're gonna choose a ranged weapon. Let's just call it a gun. We're gonna save it. All right, let's see how this gun looks in the game. So we'll open homie and then we'll set its default item as the gun that we just created. And yeah, we're gonna save and apply. So if I go back to the play tab and actually refresh the page, yeah, if I refresh the page and press enter world, you're gonna see that my unit now has the gun. I'm using it, but it's not really firing anything. You can see the quantity going down. Let's go and set the projectiles. So we're gonna create a new projectile, call it a bullet running at constant speed. And then we're gonna go back to the gun and set its projectile. So we're gonna go under weapon tab. It's a range weapon, and then it shoots the projectile bullet. And then we're gonna select the bullet that we just created. And then we're gonna save and apply. Oh, nice. We have a visitor in the game. But yeah, now you can see that, oh no, it's not firing projectile. Why is that? Let's take a look. Oh, you know what? I need to reinitialize the instance. That's what I gotta do. Okay. No, that still doesn't work. What's going on? When in doubt, just go to publish and save and republish the game. Okay, now you can see that the bullets are firing. There's a bit of a delay though, as these are all multiplayer games. And oh nice, I can also damage this guy because we have this built-in damaging logic, which I'll tell you about in a second. So if you look at the gun, on the weapons tab, we actually have damage section where you can actually select the attributes of the unit that this weapon is going to take away. So for this case, we're taking 10 health away from the target. Now you can fully customize this using the script as well. This is just really just a built-in shortcut to speed up your development time. But that being said, there is a delay, as you can see, when I press a weapon and then where the bullets are spawning. So we can take care of this by going to under extra and then just changing the stream mode to client side prediction. Save and apply. And then, yeah, now it's actually the bullets are spawning more immediately. Calvin here, who just joined our game, says that we need a respawn script. So let's go ahead and make that. First, what I'll do is we'll make sure that our unit is killed once our health goes down. Because right now, even if I take his health, you can see that nothing really happens, right? So we're gonna open the homie script and we're gonna create a new script. We're gonna call it death, okay? And this death script will be triggered when this entity's attribute becomes 0 or less. So there are a couple of built-in attributes such as speed and health, but you can add more attributes. And essentially what attributes are is that they're basically numbers with certain properties that you can assign to these numbers. So you can, for example, clamp them between min and max value for this number. You can set a regeneration speed. And you can also decide whether this attribute for this unit is streamed to everyone in the game or only for the owning player, or if it's not streamed at all. This is to control the bandwidth for your multiplayer game. And you can also decide how they're displayed. So for example, like our health attribute is displayed right underneath the unit, right? And you can also customize how this is displayed. This can actually go above the unit. You can change the color. There's a bunch of things you can do to it. But yeah, so we have this health attribute. So when this entity's attribute becomes 0 or less, we're gonna add an if condition. By the way, I'm just gonna start over here. I'm trying to add a new action, as you can see. And then there's a bunch of actions that are available. I'm not sure, but you can just quickly do a search by typing a few letters. So I'm gonna do an if statement. And this if statement is going to be for attribute type comparison. So if the attribute type of the last triggering attribute is equal to health, right? Because the script is being triggered when the attribute becomes 0, we gotta make sure that attribute is health. And if that's the case, we're gonna destroy this unit. So this entity is being destroyed. Save. Now, if I were to kill this guy, his unit is gone. All right, his unit is gone, but it's not respawning. So how do we make sure that this unit is going to respawn? You can assign the attributes to the units, but now that this unit is gone, we can't really, we don't have a reference, right? The way we can do this is by going under player types and human players. If you remember, if you go to the world, when the player joins the game, we actually assign every player to the human player's player type. And what that means is that this player then will inherit all the properties of this human player's player type. So we're gonna give an attribute. We're gonna create a new attribute, call it respawn timer. So the initial value is 100 and it's between 0 to 100 and it will regenerate at 5 per, I think this runs like 20 times a second or so. So I think it'll take about a second before the unit respawns. Let's take a look though. All right, so we have a respawn timer of 100 and what I'll do is I'll open the world script. I'm gonna add a new script, call it respawn unit. And this will trigger when the player's attribute becomes full. And we'll also make sure that this attribute is the respawn timer attribute. So triggering attribute is equal to respawn timer. And if that's the case, then we will create a unit at position, and we're going to create the homie for the triggering player, because it's the player attribute that is being triggered, right? The position is going to be the random position in the entire map. Facing doesn't really matter, 0 angle. This will do this, and we'll also make sure that the camera is tracking. Make player's camera track the unit, last triggering player, tracking last created unit. Alright? So this should respawn the unit. But before we test again, we also gotta make sure that when a unit dies, we need to, before destroying the unit, we need to set the player attribute value. We'll set this respawn timer of the owner of this entity, which is the homie unit, as 0. So it'll start regenerating. So it used to be full and it wasn't doing anything. But when this unit dies, we're gonna set it back to 0 and then it will start regenerating, eventually triggering the respawn unit script, which gets triggered when the attribute becomes full. So now if I go back to play and if I try to get this guy, he should respawn somewhere on the map. Is he here? Alright, maybe I'm gonna ask him to kill me. Or maybe he's not respawn. Oh no, okay. Again, when in doubt, just save and republish the game. Alright. So, I mean, go ahead and I'm gonna ask this guy to kill me. Okay, my health is going down. And I'm gone. Am I gonna respawn though? Yeah, there you go. I respawned. Let me try to kill this guy now. Okay, so now he is dead. Perfect. So he respawns somewhere on the map, wherever he is. Let's take a look. I can actually zoom out and okay, there he is. Alright, so it's working. Cool. So that's like the super basic intro of how our game engine works. I hope you found this somewhat helpful, and I'll continue producing more video content about Modio game engine. Thanks for watching.